So Ed and others make fun of me for my conversion van enthusiasm, but it does go way, way, way back to little itty bitty baby Hoovie, who actually grew up in conversion vans. My mom, when she got married to my dad, she had a 78 Pontiac Trans Am, silver T-tops, loved the thing. And my dad thought it would be a fun surprise in 1984 when they got married to buy her a C4 Corvette, red, new off the showroom floor, crossfire fuel injection, of course the notoriously bad ones, but in 84 that was the newest, craziest thing. And here you go, here's your brand new car. Well, she cried having to drive her Pontiac Trans Am in to get traded in, even though it had been in an accident, had some frame damage, didn't go down the road straight apparently, but she mourned and missed that car. An 84 Corvette isn't the best car for a new mommy, and it didn't take long for my mama to get pregnant with me. And oh god, am I going there? Oh no. I was actually conceived in an S10 Blazer apparently, which I wish they would have never ever told me that, but that was Dad's car at the time. Oh god, get that out of my head, get that out of my head, get that out. Anyway, obviously they needed to trade in the C4 Corvette, and what they traded it in for was a massive Chevy conversion van. And this thing was incredible. Low roof, but the golden oak interior, the cabinetry inside. Great stereo system. A little tube television, about that big. But yeah, we had a TV, a VCR. It was the king of the road trips. And so they had that for many, many years, going up multiple trips to Colorado. So I was raised in these conversion vans. And I think the first song I ever learned was The Rock Hard Bottom of Your Heart. I think, is that the song? It's a country song. And Boot Scootin' Boogie. They'd have that on cassette, and we would bump in the seats like this. That's how we sort of danced in the van. So I'm very attached to vans from a very young age. So I decided I needed a conversion van for myself. So the very first one I think was a 2000 Express. And back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there were a lot of conversion companies out there because basically there was no luxury SUVs or luxury vehicles. They didn't really think of that yet other than cars. So it was aftermarket outfitters doing Suburbans, doing vans, and making these big comfy family cruisers with luxury amenities. It was like custom coachworks of pre-war era, except, in modern big box vehicles. So back then there would have been a Gladiator conversion, which I think is what my parents had in the 80s and 90s. There was like the Choo Choo Customs, there was Regency, there was Southern Comfort. I think all of those are gone. There's one big survivor, and that's an Indiana Explorer van company, and they are still in existence. They have a massive, massive facility where they're doing Chevy conversion vans, they're doing Mercedes, they're doing the Ford Transits as well. And my first one, I think, was a 2000 Explorer conversion. And I love the thing. I ended up selling it because I probably need money with my car dealership. And the great thing about conversion vans are the values are really low at auction because there's really no book value to them. You can't put like conversion button and pull up comps as far as auction. So they usually sell very low. And I tended to do very well with them with my car dealership, selling them to all kinds of people, families. I know I sold one to a mariachi band one time so they could travel around and perform. So I got to know the vans really well and what to look for, and sold a lot of them with my car dealership. But when my car dealership folded and closed up, I eventually bought a van for myself. When YouTube started doing well enough, I treated myself to the closest that I could find from the van from my childhood. I think a late 80s conversion van, except it was the high roof, the same tube television, the same oak cabinetry, the same shag carpet, the same just cushy, comfortable seats, and I was transformed back. The throttle body, fuel injected 350, a little bit of a dog, but not bad as far as power, just a really comfy cruiser. But it was a little bit old, and I felt not really that comfortable taking it on cross-country trips. So I no-reserved it on Cars and Bids. It actually did really well. It had a little less than 100,000 miles on it. It was in pretty good shape, but it sold for $13,000 no-reserve on Cars and Bids, which was more than what I paid for it. It's one of those rare circumstances where I actually sold a car and made some money. So that was great, but the hunt was on for a modern version of it. And with these modern conversion vans, you get like the 6-liter Vortec, the old school 6-liter, up until 2021 or so, versus the modern 6.2s with all the cylinder deactivation, or the 5.3s that are in the Escalades and the Tahoes and all that stuff. Because the Express van is a work van first, that's what they're built for, they get sort of the commercial grade engines, which don't have all the stupid gobbledygook in them. So great in that sense. And Explorer conversion will do. All-wheel drive conversions, they used to do diesel conversions. I don't think they do it anymore, but there's some Duramax conversion vans out there. Really cool. Probably hard to find one of those. But I found a long wheelbase, high roof, and I bought it for several reasons. First of all, to be able to go and do those cross-country trips with the kids. But also as sort of my rolling office, because at the time I was doing my Car Issues TV show, and we were filming car treks and having to tow broken vehicles around, and I just wanted somewhere to be that was nice to hang out in, with a giant TV and a Blu-ray player and so amazingly comfortable seats. That's the biggest plus with these vans, is they still make the seats in-house. And I feel like modern seats, they make them, harder, the thicker foam. You don't get the old cushy seats like normal cars, the 80s and 90s, except in these conversion vans that are they're like lazy boys that they install in these things. They're just so incredibly comfortable. So I had my brown van for many years. It was sort of a tan fading into brown, a Texas fade. And I called it the Brown Streak because of its paint job, and enjoyed that truck for a lot of years. But I decided to be the ultimate van enthusiast and build my dream van. But unfortunately, it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I couldn't just buy a new van because of the COVID issues and supply chain problems. At the time, Chevy was only building and selling V6 ones. I didn't want a V6 van. It's limited tow capacity. I imagine the acceleration would be adequate, but terrible. I wanted the 6.2 liter V8, which had over 400 horsepower, and I found a very lightly used 2021 with around 1,800 miles, just barely used, and it was all white. They didn't do any custom paint job, so it was a blank canvas for me to do the conversion van exactly as I wanted. So this one has the big engine, long wheelbase, high roof, quilted black leather interior, and the conversion van company in Indiana, Explorer Van, did custom embroidered headrests with the Hoovie's Garage logo on it. But the best part is the paint. I went with the Texas fade, kept the white on top, but now I've painted the bottom part in a fade to my favorite color, Riptide Blue, from my dream Escalade spec, to really just set the thing off. It sort of has this like ocean, sort of beach waves lapping up on the ocean down the side of the van, and I am absolutely madly in love with this van. It has hauled Hoopties home. It has gone on many a road trip, and I plan on keeping it probably forever. It is the love of my life. So you can imagine, since I'm saying how much I love this van, how offended I would be when Ed Bullion and company decided to refresh the appraisals on my Hoopties and came to my conversion van. And Chris at Somo bid it at $15,000. John Ficarra, I think, at $20,000. Ed was, closer to the ballpark, but still low at $50,000. Because these vans, they do sell really well. They do bring actually really good money. There's some comps at recent auctions where much older vans were bringing, $40,000, $50,000. Mine's a 2021 with low mileage, and I think I paid $60-something thousand for it, and it was a great deal at the time, and did all of the custom touches, obviously. So having an average value at whatever that is going to be, $30,000 between the three, it was so stupid, way off. And if they did a moments of Google research, they would realize, these conversion vans, they're sort of like the equivalent of Cadillac Escalades when it comes to value and how they hold their value, and not $15,000. It's like a private jet on four wheels. It's almost a limousine. Anyway, I'm still a bit offended, but I decided to come anyway and take my revenge upon Ed when he's not looking. I'll film some videos first, but then when his back's turned, you watch it.
If you get a ticket, the first thing you should do is text a picture of it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. You'll be facing costly fines, risks of suspension, possible jail time, points on your license, higher insurance premiums, and a lot of bad things that they can help you to avoid. You can also find them at the link in the description below, but the Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm with brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they've got attorneys everywhere, and that's what's most important, because a local attorney will know exactly how the local laws work, know the people who are in charge, and get you the best outcome possible. So text a picture of your ticket to 305-305 or click the link in the description below to fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.